the one who's late, but
Yeah.
he's also should be excused a bit.
Okay. Well, if he doesn't... Oh, I mean, I'll wait till he actually arrives first. He has permission to leave if he feels like the poo. Can't ask anyone to do more than they're comfortable with.
Change that down
Let's see
to
how he
1.
feels.
Why you have a safe word?
We are not getting back onto that subject, Mark, especially now that we're streaming. I was about to say something stupid there in regards to that very subject, so I'm going to cut my mouth before I actually say it. Restraint from me? I know. What's going on? Okie dokie. Folks are signing in. Excellent days.
I kind of realised that my first time coming back to rolling my own dice, and I end up maybe killing the captain.
Yeah, so we know who to blame. He was like, yeah, check me out, I can roll my own dice. Woo, such dice as you have never seen. Oh, whoops. Guys, I think I may have made a boo-boo.
Don't blame the captain, unless it's the Klingon captain. That is always their fault.
Yeah, see, Connie, I told you, I warned you.
Oh no. We can't do that to the old man.
Mark, that is the best. That
That's so
by the
good,
way.
isn't it?
I'm not gonna say it because we're in stream, but I'm just gonna. You have my thumbs up for that. What you
I'll
just put in.
bet you do. But thumbs up where? Anyway, moving away from that. Okay. Alright, so we have a Chris incoming, but PC is currently misbehaving. So what I'm going to do is I am going to head to the sound booth to turn off the ship rumble and the plinky plunky intro music. So I can play our intro video to give our Chief Medical Officer time to get back with us. So excuse us, folks, we'll be back shortly.
Commander Tavish.
All right, hello, folks. Welcome to the continuing adventures of the USS Combs, and with me is the majority of the Combs crew. We have our Chief Medical Officer trying to beam in as quickly as he possibly can, but apparently there's a problem with the buffers, so we'll just have to wait for him to get here. In the meantime, let us welcome everybody. Can I confirm that folks who want to listen to Sirenscape can actually hear something now?
Yep.
Yep.
Thing. Okay. Groovy. So, well, a lot's happened recently, hasn't it? Not the least of which is that, Captain Sobek is now missing in action. So, the Combs crew are going to have to try and mount, or want to try and mount a rescue operation in our current episode, which is episode 20 and a half, The Search for Sobek. So, we will get on with that momentarily. Now, ordinarily, at this point, in between episodes, I would usually allow a little bit of a moment for things like science projects to be done, but you can kind of understand, I hope, if I say that the Combs crew are a bit preoccupied now with the fact that they are going to be concentrating very solely on the act of getting their captain back from the Mycelial Realm. So, unfortunately, personal scientific endeavours will have to take a back seat. So we won't be doing the usual science projects interlude at the very, very start. Likewise, even though you can still put forward for it, Dave, for instance, has spent 3 of Tavish's 4 acclaim, gained from the end of previous episode, to put forward for a promotion. Now, obviously, I told Dave the slight issues with this is that A, your commanding officer has to agree to the promotion. Ooh, and we have our chief medical officer.
Hello. The chief medical officer, ironically, being under the weather this week.
Yes.
So, but I'm not sure if Connie is
Yes, she has. So I would like to extend the offer that if you do feel like you're feeling too ill to carry on, then feel free to quit out whenever you need to, my dude. You don't have to stay on our account.
Awesome. Thank you.
However, today's title was inspired by yourself, so we are doing the search for Sobek. So all credit where credit is due. But like I was saying, spending a claim on stuff like putting forward from a promotion, you can still put yourself forward for the promotion, as will be noted in the ship's log, but you can understand if the actual act of possibly getting promotion, or at least the promotion being accepted or declined, will have to wait a bit, because not only do you need your commanding officer, who's missing, to ratify it, you also need it be ratified by the higher-ups in the Admiralty. And the last Admiral you were in contact with was Admiral Pressman, who ordered you to go find tardigrades, not break open classified Starfleet files about a displacement-activated Spore hub drive. So you can see why, even if you put forward for a promotion, you might have to wait a little bit for the dust to settle before you can get any word as to whether or not it's accepted. But by all means, still spend the acclaim. So, before we get onto our usual clerical-related stuff, let's start with, does anybody want to spend their acclaim on anything?
Yes.
I do.
That's fine.
I've already put in promotion a while ago, but I know that can take time. So what I'm actually going to do with mine, because I got 5, I think my reputation's already at top.
Yep, it's max.
I'm going to go for the Starfleet Medal of Honor, so I'll have 2 of those.
Neato burrito. All right then. No
And
problems
just
there.
as an update, I didn't pick the breadth of study, I think it is, the 2 additional focuses. So I've added
No, you didn't.
2 focuses. And
Experimental tech and starship design. Interesting.
which is very related to what we'll be doing later.
Ah,
Oh yes, Tavish, experimental tech. Why am I not surprised?
Oh, they had it.
Yes, but somebody's taking it as well to make sure there's not just one problem customer.
Oh. Hey.
I've got it as well, and Starship Design.
Like the captain.
Because-
Oh,
Yep.
the too soon?
Too soon.
Sorry, did I chuckle? I didn't mean to. At least I don't think I meant to. Anyway, moving on quickly. Connie, what did you want to spend your acclaim on, sorry?
A 3rd Legion of Honor.
Right. No problem. So that's all your acclaim spent, so yeah, you can pretty much eliminate your acclaim total from your character sheet.
Nice.
It's nice
I
that for
didn't-
2nd edition they put acclaim on your character sheet so you can keep track of that. Yes, Liz, sorry.
I needed one more claim so I could up my rep. Gang.
Yes, however, I could point out that Bonnet... Oh, Bonnet doesn't have enough for Legion of Honor yet. Unless somebody wants to donate any spares they have left over.
Oh no, I wanted to up my reputation. It's 4. I needed one more to even update it.
Yes.
Trying
Actually,
to
you've
get
got...
to 5 rep.
Yes. You need 5 acclaim for 5 rep. Yes. Anyone else want to do anything else with their acclaim? I mean, obviously, Starfleet Medal of Honor costs 5, so that's none left for Phlesc.
You don't want to do anything with acclaim, but with a medium milestone.
Ooh. Good pointy point. Those have kind of been altered somewhat, so let me find what that is now. Hold on a second. Character development. So this is what was a medium milestone is now a milestone, because they've changed the wording. A minor milestone is now an adjustment. A medium milestone is now a milestone. And the large or major milestone is now a character arc.
Oh, okay.
However, since you've got some saved up and haven't spent them, then they will equate to the same thing. It's only fair you did accrue them. So let me give you the list of what that will do.
I know what I want to do. It's something I wanted to do as soon as we had a chance. Is that a medium milestone? I wanted to switch out secondary actors on the ship for expanded munitions.
Ooh, okay. Is everybody good with that? What essentially Mark wants to do here is take away secondary reactors because it doesn't give you any extra power because we don't use power points anymore. We just have reserve power. And secondary reactors just lets you spend momentum to gain reserve power back immediately without having to test for it. So do folks think that they would rather have extra weapon systems built into the ship rather than secondary reactors?
I think that sounds pretty good.
Dave? I mean, it's essentially what you wanted to do before by turning it into a rainbow ship.
I'm okay with it because I think I've got something in Tavish which I am. It's something similar, not the same, but it has a similar thing.
Okay.
Which is, I think, I'm giving it all she got.
Okay. All right. So, Chris and Liz, are you both okay with switching out secondary reactors as a ship talent for some expanded munitions, as in another weapon system for the ship? Okay. Fervent agreement there. So, let's delete secondary reactors. Find expanded munitions. Now, most folks use expanded munitions to add quantum torpedoes to their ship's arsenal, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Mark might be thinking of something entirely different.
Yes, I'm now trying to find it because I can't remember what I mentioned.
Starship weapons you want to look under the folder for, I do believe.
Yeah. No, I can't remember the one that I found.
Might it be the phased Polaron beam?
Ooh.
Either a Ray Banks cannon or spinal lance.
Spinal lance sounds a bit brutal.
It's basically a cannon that goes from one end of the ship to the other and fires in a straight line.
That sounds like it's
Not particularly.
Starfleet?
Yeah.
So the weapon system.
Well, he's looking for that.
Yo.
I would have used my medium milestone because it says you can gain 1 additional talent from the list that you have.
So, gain 1 additional talent. Yes, indeed. What's the dirty chuckle for? As in, what are you looking to gain as a talent?
You'll see when I find it.
Well, you do actually have to tell me.
I know, I need to find it.
Ah.
I just wanted to make sure that was good.
Okay, so you're trying to find something, you're trying to find something. Dave, what was it you were going to do? Because it sounded like you had something in mind as well.
Actually, no, I was just looking at what I've got.
Okay.
And I've got 9 adjustments and 1 milestone. I've changed all my stuff, so
Thank you.
to the adjustments, milestones, and character arc for you already.
Thank
in
you.
my,
Thank you very
character
much.
notes.
But
I don't know what to do with the 9 adjustments. I don't know if that equates up to something or not.
well, adjustments, if you scroll back, are up this a ways. So, if you scroll back up through the Discord chat that we've had so far, and just underneath the GIF that Mark posted of I am beginning to think that maybe what I did was wrong, you'll find the text for what an adjustment appears to be. Found it?
Yeah.
Cool. The Mark, have you found your preferred weapon system yet?
No, I can't. It's going to take me a little while to find, so what I'll do is I'll read through and let you know before we have to use it.
Hopefully you're not planning your way on shooting your way into the Mycelial Network, but hey, far be it for me to dictate what it is you guys are going to do and how you're going to achieve it. Liz, how's the search for yours going?
Okay, it's going okay.
Meaning you found it, or you haven't quite zeroed in on it yet?
I haven't zeroed in on it yet.
Can we go on the bridge, please?
Okay. Loading the bridge. Ba-doop.
Thank you.
Oh, that's a good old point. Didn't we give Nurse Uro and some of the others... No, we didn't. Okay, so Nurse Uro featured last time. I thought I changed his character sheet. I was evidently in error. Just to make sure I didn't change it somewhere else. No, I didn't. Okay, so he sustained crush injuries. He's better now. Talent added, attribute increased. If you want Nurse Uro to be able to survive more encounters, you can give him a value so that he has half a stress track, or can maybe give him another talent that he can use. It's up to you guys. What would you rather do as far as improving Nurse Uro? Do we think maybe he should up his security rating or something? I mean, Chris, he's your boy. What do you, if you think that there's a specific way that Nurse Uro could be improved to help Dr. Sott by giving him another focus, maybe?
Yeah, just looking over his character sheet now. Maybe like just upping his science.
Upping his science. That's certainly a
I don't
option.
know. I'm not really 100% right now.
That's fine. What do other folks think? Up Nurse Uro's science as a bit of supporting character advancement? I'm hearing no objections, so I'm going to go with that.
For one of my adjustments,
Yes.
can I change Carly Kenson, Ensign Kenson,
Okay.
talent of tough to more power?
Okay. So you're spending an adjustment.
Mm.
Swap one of the talents, as stated. Yep, indeed you do. More power. Oh. Points and kudos if you can identify the TV show I just referenced there.
Home Improvement.
Thank you.
Oh
Liz wins.
no, I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say it.
That's what I was
That
referring to, so Liz does get the right answer.
That was my favorite show.
I had another show.
I love watching Tim Allen.
So,
Yeah, no,
yes, go on.
that was Tim Allen's character. Who was always saying more power and then
Yep.
laughing like that.
I'm surprised it came in over the noise reduction software.
Can I ask?
Of course.
Shiara.
Yes.
Rihanna. I should know this. This is my character. She hasn't got any talents.
Because supporting characters don't start off with talents. They just start off
Okay.
with the bare minimum.
How can I get it? How can I give her a talent?
Probably by by
Okay, I found it. I'm taking jury rig.
medium milestone, which is now a regular milestone.
Okay.
So, Dave, you ever think about that for a second? Liz, what were you gonna do there for a?
We are taking jury rigged.
Right, I thought I just recognized a new one there. Alright, cool. Remember to note on your character logs, not character logs, but your character notes section if you've spent stuff.
I just have to go to Traza to update that one.
Bonnet should have her. Oh, yeah. Milestones are going to be your primary character, so yeah, that's fair enough. Jury rig. Madeleine Bonnet, rigging juries since 2373.
It's just the engineering thing, which kind of makes sense of if it ain't broke, improve it anyways.
Exactly, that's fine. I didn't say there was any problem with it. I think it suits her very well.
I'm going to use my milestone to give Shiara maintenance specialist.
Alright. Spoosh, maintenance
Thank you very
specialist.
I need my engineering team.
Yes. Good. These are all very good, very prescient, considering what is to come. Alright, anybody else want to spend milestones, adjustments, and the like to make further adjustments to fix? Yes, Connie.
I think I'll use one of my milestones to give Lieutenant Dufresne the assistant talent.
Alrighty. Assistant, that comes under science, doesn't it? Yes. assistant. Babor.
Lovely.
Dunzo. Okay. Improving your supporting cast. Right then. Anybody else got anything else they would like to do? Mark, have you zeroed in on that weapon system yet?
I know I want a cannon, because we don't have any close range weapons at the moment.
I want
And
the boom.
so it's a case of which ones can we have, and so I tried to look for the ones that are there. Phased Polaron beam cannon. What on earth is that?
That's something that the Dominion ships are known to use.
Can we use it?
It would be a Starfleet version of the same weapon system.
Because it's close range, adds 2 dice, and is piercing.
Yes, and intense. So piercing means that you would be able to is it spend momentum? Let me have a quick old checkaroonie. 2nd edition rules, Starship Combat, weapon qualities. So piercing means that when this weapon makes an attack, any resistance the target has can be ignored. And intense means that you spend 1 momentum to improve the damage of the weapon system rather than 2.
What devastating? Because there's graviton cannon and phased polaron beam cannon are the 2 I narrowed it down to. So I don't know what devastating did.
Devastating is the difficulty to repair breaches caused by this weapon increase in difficulty by 1.
Oh, I think I prefer the beam cannon. Put that to the crew, though. The polaron beam cannon.
Yep.
Piercing and intense.
Yep.
Because we can throw momentum at the
Yep.
at the damage.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yep, and I can always, do the lovely attack patterns to give us advantage on hitting with that thing too.
All right then. It's the phased polaron beam cannon. Okey-doke. Where's the?
There it is.
There it is. 8. Jeez, Willikers. So, yeah, as has been noted, it's a short-ranged weapon, so you have to get close.
But we've got the other weapons for long and medium. So
yes, you do. So you've got a nice cross-section of weapon systems there.
So we've got a choice at each range.
Starfleet going to think when you turn up after this, not exactly secret mission, but, high-profile... what's the word I'm looking for? When you put a high secure... When people are only allowed to look at it if they've got high security clearance. I'm sure it'll come to me. Confidential.
People that have like top secret clearance.
Yeah. What's the name of?
Classified.
Classified. Thank you very much.
Top secret classification.
So the Combs goes off on a classified mission, comes back all of a sudden with perhaps a spore drive and phased polaron beam cannons. What did you do out there?
We fixed her.
Nothing. All right. Is that all we want to be doing? We fixed it.
This is really minor, but I can't seem to move the beam cannon to the top because.
Yeah, there's no ordering. It'll just because it treats it like a regular stack. It'll just last in will go on the bottom of the pile.
Okay, I was going to put in the order either of damage or long range close, but that's not important.
Sadly, yep, there's no ordering on this. So
cool.
Except the order of input. So then, anybody else? Right then.
Which means if you want to put it by damage, you just have to take all of them out and put them back in by damage.
Let's go with not right now, because what I want to deal with now is the state of the current war against the Klingons. So, if you remember this pretty little map, this is the current state of the Klingon Federation war as regards to the 20th Fleet and their actions. So, as can be stated here, the 20th Fleet is currently still under the command of Admiral April Hebert. You have these assets available to you at the moment. So you've got Captain Seren of Vulcan, you've got a retired Federation ship, you've got the Stargazer, you've got an Admiral Hardin, you've got the Randar's Curiosity, you've got the Mercia, and you've got that nice Orion pilot from Narendra Station, Rayna. Now, particular interest, of course, are our points of interest. These are the things that are ongoing in the galaxy, or at least the 20th Fleet's jurisdiction at the moment. So the top two tactical points of interest were both present during the previous campaign turn and were both failed. Therefore, their urgency and their difficulties have gone up. So, I think we learned last time that just posting one asset to a problem means that likelihood of success is a bit lower. Now, obviously, one of the 5 points of interest is your own mission, which is search for Sobek. So that's going to be dealt with either way, but it's the other 4 missions, 2 of which are tactical. One is just a routine mission, the other is an exploration mission. Those will need to be dealt with or left alone. So, you've got all these assets, Captain Seren, the Mercia, Rayna, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. What would you like to try and resolve first? The enemy flagship conducting military patrols, the recon mission, or the transportation of a Federation official, or exploring a region of space with strange effects.
I'm definitely thinking the flagship.
Yeah, I'm thinking if we do. Okay, we have a lot of.
We need to throw a fair
assets.
bit.
So let me explain what the numbers are for in case we've forgotten. Military 4, in case of the enemy flagship, means it's a difficulty 4 military task. So you're going to need to get 4 successes on it. Naturally, any of these assets with a good military rating, so the number on the left is the number you want to get on or under. The number on the right is the focus number, so if you get on or under that focus number, you get 2 successes. So, yeah, go on.
I think for the flagship, definitely the Stargazer and then the Admiral, because military is 12 and 13.
I'm going to say this. I think we should concentrate on both the tactical and keep the routine and exploration, and not do anything with the routine or exploration at all. I think we should put our stuff into both of those.
Let's see what we've got left. So we've got 2 there, and that's going to give us only 2 dice.
So what we can do is Admiral Hardin can ride on the Stargazer, and he can roll his military 13-3, and the ship can aid with 12-3.
That's 3 dice. So ideally we'd want a 4th resource on that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want.
We can also send the retired. We can also send the retired Federation ship.
Yep.
It has a decent military.
If that's what you want to do.
We've also got Rayna and the Captain Seren.
Yeah, but Seren's not really high in military. He's more. It's more.
Social. Yes.
He's he's better at social. Because I was thinking for the science one, definitely the Curiosity could be sent.
12-3, but the USS Mercia has science 55.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it does. Yes, definitely the Mercia. Or the
Hey.
Sorry.
That's 2. That's rolling 2. And then we've got Raina, which has low science.
We can send the captain because he has at least better science than Raynor.
Yeah, 10's a good midpoint.
And order this a little better than the mishmash I'm going on at the moment.
Because the Curiosity could also do the science as well.
Oh, hang on, that's the mission.
Yeah, and then we could
the mission
just
is explore a region of space. We are throwing the Mercia at that. Okay.
No, we're trying to throw the Mercia at the tactical.
Oh, at the
Science
tactical
one.
one.
Not, yeah, this is...
At the tactical science one.
we're-
I do beg your pardon. Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, are we focusing all on the tactical?
I honestly think you need to.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
All right.
Can we get, like, separate boxes? Because we got the assets with the details. Like, just have a separate box that just has the asset name, just to neaten this up. Or is that too much for this time? We'd have to...
At the moment, yeah, this will have to do. Because
I think
I need to make it myself.
it's a bit more spaced out. That's all.
Yeah, and then the captain down on the tactical mission too. So that's 3 dice rolling for that one.
But we still have 2 assets.
Yeah.
But the others don't have urgency. So, what do we got? Science 12, 13 for the Curiosity. That's good for the tactical science. And then we've got 3 assets on that. And then Raynor.
And then we could just have Raynor
on the first one? Because we're rolling 4 dice at the moment, but we need 4 successes. So having that 1 extra. Because we've got no momentum, we've got no bonuses. Can we roll that many dice for that point of interest?
Looks like. As long as we get the maximum of 5.
I think that's good
1,
then.
2, 3, 4, 5 dice, and then this one is 2, 3, 4 dice. Yeah, we're 1 dice above on each of those, and we have 2 left undone, and then the unknown, that's what we'll be doing anyway.
Righty-ho.
We've thrown everything at the 2 urgent, which I think's the right idea.
Okay then, so I am going to ask for somebody to roll as Admiral Hardin, somebody to roll as the Stargazer, somebody to roll as the retired Federation ship, and somebody to roll for Raynor. So, call them out. Who wants what?
I'll take the Stargazer.
Okay. I presume with the High Military 13-3, Admiral Hardin is leading this?
Yep.
In which case the Stargazer is only rolling 1 dice. So basically just roll a 20-sided dice, Liz, and we'll see what we get.
Ooh.
Oh, hello!
Ooh!
Well, that's a good start. That's already 2 successes. Wow. Okay. So that's the Stargazer.
The Stargazer's crew's on their game today.
Yes, indeed. Mark, do you want to try the Hat of Blame with being Admiral Hardin?
Cool. So I'm rolling
2 dice. 2d20.
2d20. Come on.
So let's see, a 7 and a 1. So that's 2 more successes, and that's probably a 5th. Wow, you've already got and exceeded. Connie, do you fancy rolling as the retired Federation ship?
Yep.
1d20. Yep. 16, so that one's a no. But we got 5
Okay.
successes there. You needed 4. You got 1 over, so your campaign momentum goes
Do we
up
not
to
roll?
1.
We've rolled.
We still have one more. We still have Raynar to roll for that.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Chris? You about,
No
my dude?
pressure.
Hello.
Hello. Can you roll me a d20, please?
Certainly, bear me just a second.
No problem.
It's been so long since I just rolled an individual die. Oh, it's down here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the bottom right dice tray thing.
Just like that.
That's right. A 19. Oh.
It wasn't a 20.
It wasn't a 20, no, that's the good thing. And the other guys had succeeded so well that just that retired Federation ship, still a bit old, looks like a medical ship as well with its higher medical rating, so the fact that you put it into a military operation... It's like, dude, we're an O-berth, why are you sending the killer canoe in on this thing? Nevertheless, that was a successfully completed tactical mission. Nice. So that means, let's have a look actually. What does that mean?
We could also be like Raynar was on that ship. That's why it didn't do so well.
Quite. Right, so let me just check. The way things go is that phase 1 we generate the problems, which we've done. Phase 2 we resolve the problems, and then we determine the outcomes. So it's determining outcomes we want to go for. So, remove points of interest after successful missions. So in this case, we are removing enemy flagship is conducting a military patrol. Spadoop. It is not an unresolved tactical point of interest. We've resolved it. Nice. The players may be rewarded with progression points for every exploration point. No. For every campaign momentum unused at the end of the turn. Haven't got there yet. And then, of course, your own roleplay scenario. So, yep, so far, so good. Alright, so that's what we've done. You haven't lost those assets either, so they're still with you. Can't use them at the moment, again in the same turn, of course, but they are still yours to use. So now we've got our second tactical mission, the science-related tactical mission. This one was using Captain Seren, the Randar's Curiosity, and the Mercia. Science of 10-1, no. Randar's Curiosity has Science of 12-2, and the Mercia has Science of 15-5, good lord. So, Les, since you were the one who put together that particular selection, why don't you be the Mercia with 2 dice?
Alright.
An 18 and a 19. Oh, whoops.
Oh. Cool dice.
They were so close. They were so close to ones.
Yes, but we've still got... no, actually, that's a good point. Something unexpected happens as well. It turns out that this mission is under enemy surveillance. Any military and social power ratings are reduced, but thankfully we don't care about military ratings for this. We're using science, so that doesn't apply, thankfully.
Ooh, what triggered that event, sorry?
Random events happen to random points of interest. So
Oof.
they could happen to any point of interest. I just happened to roll that one.
Thank goodness it wasn't for the first one.
Indeedy.
Yep.
Aren't we lucky? So, the Mercia underperformed. We've still got Captain Seren and the Randar's Curiosity, each of them rolling only 1 dice each with a Science 3. You do have a point of campaign momentum you could spend to add a dice.
Let's see how they do.
Okay. So, Mark, do you want to be Captain Seren or the Randar's Curiosity?
12-3, or... yeah, I'll be the Curiosity then.
Dave, could you be Captain Seren, then? To roll me a d20.
Here we go, number Oh. Oh.
Not doing so well on this one. But better with that one. So that is, unfortunately, because Dave was... Oh, no, Mark. That was Mark, wasn't it? No, that was Dave. Dave, unfortunately, rolled underneath the focus range, which unfortunately was 1 in this case. That's still 1 success out of...
Can we use the momentum to have the Mercia roll another dice?
That's our best bet.
I think it's required at this point.
Yep.
Go on then, Liz. Roll another dice.
Yes!
5, so 2. Now, there's good news and there's bad news. No successes there, no successes there, 1 success there, and 1 success there. 2 successes, you needed 3.
That was within the 5, because the Mercy has a 15-5.
Quite right, quite rightly pointed out. That's 3, that's exactly what you need.
That's why we were all so excited.
Spotted. I wasn't looking to the left, that was my problem. To the left, Matt. To the left, exactly what was needed. Well done. Give me just a second, there's a knock on my door. Hey, my dude. Thank you very
Good
much.
spend.
That was so close.
Oh, that was so very, very close. But you did it. Well done. Which means you have solved that tactical issue. You have not lost any ships, and therefore those ships come back to your list of usable assets. Okay.
I think that's all my good rolls for today.
I think... Do we think we've exhausted all of our good rolls? Okay.
No. We have more, please.
Alright, so that's 2... tactical missions dealt with, so there will be no further escalation of those. You've got no more assets you can throw at something, so both the exploration mission and the routine mission will be unresolved. So what happens if we have an unresolved one of those? So unresolved tactical point of interest is that. Unresolved routine point of interest. Federation Command will step in to commandeer available resources to help meet the ever-increasing wartime needs. A randomly selected asset becomes unavailable next turn. Alright, we have got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to have to roll a d7. 1. So, Raina is unavailable for your next Mac campaign turn. What about the unresolved... That was the unresolved routine, pardon me. What about the unresolved exploration, which was this guy? Unresolved exploration points of interest. The chance to resolve it will effectively begin to fade. Increase all the problems' difficulties by 1 the first time this happens. If it happens a second time, it's removed. So you can still come back to this one. But it now becomes a Science 3 affair. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. You gained your first point of campaign momentum, but you spent it. But, luckily for you, exploration missions can actually gain you 3 progression points. And when you get to 5 progression points, you can roll on the progression table to see if you can get some extra stuff. You've got 2, so if you can resolve that exploration mission next campaign turn, then you will have enough to be able to roll on the progression table. So, something to bear in mind. You will gain progression points as well if you successfully complete your current mission, which is the search for Sobek. But, overall, that was not bad at all, my guys. Not bad at all. So those tactical missions that were a problem the first time have now been resolved by throwing everything you had at it.
I think if we don't have a tactical mission that requires science, send a Mercia to the expedition would be a good call.
Well, I should really do this at the end after we've resolved your current mission, but because we're here on the campaign side of things, I better show you anyway. You do gain, as was at the end of this turn, 2 extra resources. You will gain the USS Alba, an Excelsior class, and the USS Omnis, a Nova class. So those will be added to your asset lists. I will have to start making this bigger.
Alba good at. Hang on,
Well,
what is that
all-
mid?
Yeah,
That is.
Omnis 12-4 science is pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's 12-4. I was looking at the Alba, the P. Is that presence?
PER is personal, which means that they are fast
Oh.
and able to meet one-on-one encounters, whether that be one-on-one with an enemy commander or one-on-one with an enemy ship. So individual one-on-one encounters on the Alba is what the Alba is particularly good at, which makes sense. It's an Excelsior, so. Whereas the Omnis as a Nova class is more science-orientated, which is why it's got such a high science rating. So there you go. Those will be your new campaign assets at the end after we have dealt with the search for Sobek. Everybody good with how that went?
Much better now we know what we're doing.
Mhm.
Yes. Good. Alright then, so let us move to the point in question. So, I am just going to read a little something. First Officer's Log, Stardate 50047.3. It's been 24 hours since Captain Sobek was lost to the Mycelial Network, and the Combs is still holding position within the Midnight Cloud, close to where the mycelial construct withdrew back into its home dimension. The subspace breach the construct created to pierce the barriers between our realities has closed completely, and as a result, the concentrations of dark matter that created the nebula have begun to dissipate. The crew are not ready to give up on the possibility of retrieving the captain, however, not after losing Lieutenant Turin to a similar encounter with a portal to another realm 3 months ago. Members of the crew have already decrypted the security protocols, keeping so much of the research on the displacement-activated Spore hub drive blanked out and redacted. We intend to use it as a means of creating our own way into the Mycelial Realm. Orders be damned.
But we also have a cover because Tavish's AI got a scan of the hub mushroom that did it itself. So we do have a cover story as to how we do it. So we're going to build it more similar to that, so it's different, but we've got a lot to help us.
First Officer's Log, Supplemental. With the research fully unlocked, the engineering and science teams are now looking over the data contained within. They were given an hour to pore over the project specifications before the senior staff gather in the conference room to discuss our options. This will no doubt have consequences, specifically to do with breaching the security which the Spore drive's data was locked behind. As current captain, it's my duty to shoulder this burden, but since the whole endeavour was Admiral Pressman's project, I will make sure I won't be facing these consequences alone. So what you just said, Mark, can be an interesting little aside that Phlesc can put in his own personal log.
Cool.
Second Officer's Log. We may have a way around being saddled with the security breach. So, we are going to need to move to the conference room, and since it's the science guys giving the science and engineering guys giving the presentation, I'm going to have it be Carly Kenson and Malcolm Eversion who are going to be breaking down to the senior crew what it is that they've discovered. So, Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang, as your current first officer and therefore de facto replacement captain, is moving to the conference room now to take her place at the head of the table. Feel free to move your own characters into the conference room wherever they may fit. Although Gerkow looks like she's breakdancing on the table. As Chief Helm Officer, Bonnet does count because she needs to know where they're going and what they're doing. Of course, Garrow needs to be on it too, so place yourselves wherever you can fit. Chris, do you want me to move Dr. Sot? Nope, you're good. Excellent. Actually, there's no point. Okay. It's been 24 hours since the captain was made MIA, but the Combs has not moved. Thanks to certain requests for improvement, engineering teams have already begun on creating a new weapon system for the ship, so they're going to be busy, in some cases, attaching this new weapon system to the outer hull of the ship, which has given others in the science and engineering teams enough time to pore over the data for the displacement-activated Spore hub drive. So when Kenson and Diversion do come in, there's kind of a bleary-eyed look about them, which suggests that they've been doing an awful lot of reading. But nevertheless, they each come in with a datapad. Ensign Diversion is the one who walks up to the interface on the conference table and inserts an isolinear data chip to load up all the data. And on the conference room's main display screen, and to a certain extent on the holographic display in the center of the table, there are now lots of individual data windows now popped up. Eversion looks over at Kenson, who just gives him a hand gesture to indicate that he's got the floor, even though it looked like he was hoping that wasn't going to be the case. At which point he then starts, of course. Okay, so he scratches his head. Seriously, this was a lot to go through. So I'm not sure if you guys want me to just rattle off everything we've learned, or if you want to maybe just start by asking questions, sirs, and we'll approach every topic as and when you approach the topic for question.
Start talking. Tavish, there's no emotion in there.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. And kind of Eversion looks from Tavish to everybody else as a kind of was that my cue?
Phlesc just gives a nod.
So Commander Lian Zhang, just looking between everybody, just gives Eversion a nod. Go ahead with what you've learned, Ensign. Okay. Well, firstly, this thing is vastly complex. I mean, I've never seen such advanced topics being worked on, especially since it was like 200 odd years ago or more. So this was pretty impressive stuff, even for its time, even for today. I mean, so let me think. Where to start? Well, he punches in a couple of commands and brings up a Starfleet service record for a Commander Paul Stamets. Let's start with this guy. He, along with his science buddy by the name of Lieutenant Strahl, were both responsible for the formation of the idea of there being a mycelial realm occupied by a diverse range of fungic life forms that may very well have been present since the beginning of the known universe. They postulated that it was possible that there was a single fungal life form in this case, and he taps some commands into the control panel again to bring up the diagram of a fungal like tree. Specifically this species of fungus, Prototaxites stella viatori. I hope I got that right. This unique fungal life form was found to exist within our own space-time, but have links to another entirely separate realm of subspace, which was later identified as the Mycelial Realm, its home realm. Somehow this unique fungus had managed to pretty much develop route that could spread outside of its own realm of subspace into practically every other one, and had been doing so since conceivably the dawn of creation. As such, Commander Stamets and Lieutenant Strahl postulated that with routes that extended so far and so out, one could use it as a means of essentially reaching vast distances without having to utilize warp drive, which of course meant having to interact with the realm itself in order to produce, well, at its most basic level, it's practically a organic transporter system. Essentially, the ship in question gets transformed into energy, very much like we do with our transporter systems. In this energetic state, it travels into the Mycelial Network and pops out at a different location where it becomes matter once again. Like I said, that's it in its most absolute basic form. Again, I don't know how much further you want me to go into all of this. It's a lot, really.
Is there any way that the spores, even if they don't control it, a predictable way in which they pop in and out?
Well, that's the thing. And he starts to key in more commands to bring up the diagram of the displacement activated spore hub drive as was lodged in the USS Discovery. The spores themselves were actually key to the navigation system in some fashion, insofar as that the spores themselves were representative of a fungal life form that had all these branches. So if you could find a way of getting inside the network, you could potentially find a way of navigating it. But unfortunately, there is a hiccup with that, insofar as the dimensions of the Mycelial Realm don't necessarily correspond on a one-to-one basis with the dimensions of our normal space-time. So if we were to pop into a mycelial root system, even here, as close as we are to where the mycelial construct disappeared, there's no telling the distance that might represent to the mycelial construct in the Mycelial Realm, if you get me. The root systems are apparently so extensive that when you come up to an intersection of roots, you have to calculate the probability of which route it is that's the one to take you to where you need to go, and the further the distance you need to travel, the higher the math needs to be, to the point where, according to what Stamets wrote, any navigational computer would get its buffer overloaded by the sheer amount of computations that needed to be done just to go the distance within, say, 2 or 3 systems. Because unfortunately, it seems that the way to navigate the Mycelial Realm is based on probability, not direction.
So how did the Discovery navigate, and how accurate were they?
Now this is where it gets interesting and actually links into our mission here. And he types in some more commands, and a wireframe of a macro tardigrade comes up. According to the data we managed to, and he looks over at Ensign Kenson, gain access to, the Discovery originally didn't have anything but its own navigational computer, but its sister ship, the Glenn, managed to track a macro tardigrade, and they literally wired the creature into the navigational computer. It turns out that the macro tardigrades, being creatures that themselves were part of the Mycelial Network, had some kind of ingrained ability to navigate it. So they physically wired it into the ship in order to use it to navigate the network. Unfortunately, and he types in some more commands and brings up what looks like a stilled image of a tardigrade, but it's vastly smaller than it should be, and it's kind of curled in itself, like a ball, like almost a fetal position. Unfortunately, when the USS Discovery tried using this during the first Federation Klingon War, it proved to be detrimental to the tardigrade's overall health. The number of jumps it was required to navigate would slowly deplete the creature in some fashion or make it sick or whatever. The exact specifics aren't exactly clear, but eventually the trauma of such made the thing go into this kind of state of stasis or hibernation. It seems Admiral Pressman wanted us to find one of these things so that we could learn how they navigate, maybe even identify where we could find some in order to... And he makes the kind of a mime for catching something in a net.
So the Discovery never actually learned how the tardigrade was able to navigate.
The way they got around it was Commander Stamets actually injected himself with tardigrade DNA, therefore genetically modifying himself so that he was part human, part tardigrade, which of course goes against the genetic alteration laws that we currently have, even today. But it was wartime, so they overlooked it, I guess. There was... Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, so how critical was it for tardigrade DNA? Did that not just unlock his ability to see and map? Or
it's unclear.
Oh, no.
But it seems that Commander Stamets physically... he gave himself prosthetics, ports, on his arms so that he could physically link to the navigation system. However, he does key in some more commands and brings up another screed of data. There was an Ensign Tilly on board the USS Discovery who had started work on creating a... Let me see if I can find my notes here. Creating a coherent resonator that could interact with the spores and create a dark matter-powered navigational device, but she was never actually able to realize its actualization.
What information do we have on that?
Not much, just the basic math. Ensign Kenson kind of puts her hand up at this point. It's worth mentioning that we do have access to a fairly large amount of dark matter at the moment. He just kind of gestures out of the window.
Well, that's certainly something we should start looking into.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what Malcolm here isn't telling you is that there are certain things that need to be changed on the ship in order to try and see if we can actually implant ourselves in the Mycelial Network.
And that would be what, Ensign?
Well, first of all, and she keys up a diagram of essentially what looks like a hydroponics bay that is full of these mycelial trees, these fungal trees. The Discovery had practically an entire bay full of these fungi, so that they had ready access to the spores that they gave off. According to the data, they were able to use the spores to create a quantum bridging effect between the ship that the spores are stored on and the network which they were originally from. They needed to create a what's the name of the thing? What's the name of the little cube they had? The word has currently just skipped out of my brain. Excuse me while I track through my notes. I can't find it. Where is it? Reaction cube. The way you link the ship to the network in order that the ship's quantum state could be changed and then bridged to the mycelial network was to have a specific sealed chamber on the ship, which would then be flooded with mycelial spores up to a saturation level of, I think it was 68%. This would then create an area of the ship that could exist between both our material universe and the mycelial realm at the same time, and therefore enable that transference of energy that would allow the ship to travel. And that's where we run into our first hurdle. Ensign aversion takes over. Unfortunately, Lieutenant Gerkow got a lot of fungal samples, to be sure. We're just not sure which ones of those, if any of them, were actually of Prototaxites stellar-viatori.
So you're basically saying that we need to do research into finding out which one it is out of the samples we brought back.
It's possible that you might have already brought back a sample or two without realizing it, or since you were analyzing the genetic structure of the various different fungal plants in order to identify what their similar characteristics were that enabled them to survive the barrier between subspace and normal space, you've already pulled out a vast amount of the genealogical data, or genetic data on the mushrooms already. If we can maybe try and use that to trace the DNA chains back to its original progenitor, we might very well stumble upon the genetic sequence needed to synthesize Prototaxites stellar-viatori. But say we do, we then have to, either with a sample we just happen to have through luck or a sample we have to create ourselves, we then have to germinate enough extra spores in order to reach that saturation point of 68% or so. But we also have to do it for the journey back as well as the journey in. Not to mention, interjects Ensign Kenson, not only do we have to make the reaction cube, we also have to make a couple of other modifications to the ship. According to some of the data we went over, and at this point Kenson uploads a couple of images of what looks like a damage report from the Crossfield class ship, the USS Glenn, which shows the ship looking mostly intact, except that there's a lot of weird striations through the superstructure of the ship. And the pictures then shift to showing dead crew who have basically been twisted and ground down into like almost like people pancakes. This is the result of an accident that happened to the Glen when they tried to exit the Mycelial Realm inadequately. Apparently the realm has some kind of barrier protecting it, which Commander Stamets labeled as a Hawking radiation firewall. It's almost like a shell coating the entire Mycelial Realm. If you don't match the quantum spin of the firewall, you'll just bounce off of it, and if we do bounce off of it, we might end up getting twisted around the axes of both our material universe and the mycelial's material axis, which might end up with most of us looking like this if it goes catastrophically wrong. So we need to set up some way of creating a spinning subspace field around the ship. That comes with its own interesting problems, because the spinning subspace field, should we create it, causes a resonance within the superstructure of the ship. That resonance could, if left unchecked, shake the ship apart. Which was why, and she types in some more commands and shows a diagram of the Discovery and the Glen. These two are crossfield class starships, but they were modified. The saucer sections of each ship have dual rotating sections on the outer hull, which were meant to bleed off any of the excess cavitation energy that would resonate through the ship's hull. That way, the ship's hull wouldn't be retaining any of that resonation from the spinning subspace field and wouldn't kill everybody. So as well as finding some way of creating some form of navigation system, we also need to find some way of creating a spinning subspace field, whilst also finding a way of bleeding off any excess cavitation energy. Lots to do.
Right. So a way to reinforce the ship for the spin, a way to get rid of the cavitation energy, and then resonance protection, as well as a spinning subspace field, assuming we found the right mushroom and we find a way to interface and navigate.
At which point, I'm going to have a certain voice in Tavish's head appear.
I have a possible solution.
Okay. I'm gonna let you speak through my through me. Told the rest of the crew. I say this inside my head.
Accessing vocals. So this next bit will basically be in Dave's voice as Tavish. But I will put on Nilil's voice anyway.
I am a sophisticated AI program designed to take care of basic calculations whilst allowing Lieutenant Tavish's brain to indulge in its creative exercises. I am not stating that I am myself am sufficient as a method of calculating the probabilities necessary for navigating the Mycelial Network. However, were I, via Lieutenant Tavish's neural interface, allowed to access Lieutenant Gerkow's brain in order to utilize her probabilistic expertise, and also cybernetically link us both with Ensign Bonnet, we could form an interesting trinity of individuals who might be able to calculate the probabilities necessary to navigate the Mycelial Realm and make the navigational adjustments within the space of the microseconds needed.
Avish just goes, "Oh, you heard her?"
Now,
Tavish just goes, "That was Nilil."
Now, Dr. Sott. This sounds like an invasive, rather invasive procedure. You're basically asking an AI inside of someone's brain prosthetic to attach itself to the brain of two other people.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong, indeed.
And I think Dr. Sott's opinions on like invasive AI has been sort of well documented over the.
Wasn't it basically don't do it?
Yeah.
It's a silly idea, don't do it.
I might want to add that Bonnie does have a focus in artificial intelligence systems. So
She
she's
does.
intrigued.
So, Commander Lian Zhang just looks at Gerkow and Bonnet at this point and says, well, it's you two who are going to be plugged into this thing. What do you two think?
I'm interested to see how this works. It's just like currently just looking at Tavish like,
Steepling her fingers like Mr. Burns.
For science, I'll do it once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alright, then I'm gonna have to put some safeguards in, then.
Safeguards. It's almost as if you don't trust me, Lily.
I do trust you, Nilo. I'm making sure that their brains aren't overloaded by, unexpected, It's for the unexpected, Nilo, not because I don't trust you. I trust you immensely. I just
Understood.
want to make sure if anything goes wrong, them two are okay. Me and you can cope with whatever comes our way.
Alright then, so I've basically just bombarded you with a hell of a lot of information in a short space of time. But Mark did very succinctly list out a good many things that appears you need to be doing, so... Are there any ideas as for how you want to go about some of this?
Mark, what's the first on your list?
First thing on my list, because it was for me, because I've got a focus in force field technology and warp field dynamics. It's a spinning subspace field, and then like the subcategories there are like resonance protection and energy dissipation. Separate to me, which is kind of like definitely Gerkow, is like find the right mushroom and how we interface with it.
Well, if we're doing the Nihil stuff, some of that stuff is not going to.
Not necessarily, no.
It's worth. It's actually probably worth having like backups of backups of backups plans here.
And we're getting the interface and navigation right includes Nihil, but also what else? What else does that need to happen? It's not just plugging her in. It's what resources do we need to get that to work, including finding the right mushroom. I can't remember the name of the mushroom, but yeah, finding the right one.
Just say mycelial mushroom, it's fine.
Find the right mycelial mushroom. And if we've got the right spores, we've got the resources. We need dark matter.
So if Connie agrees, everybody else agrees. First things first is probably going for finding the right spores.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah. First things first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Making making sure that the ship is going to be safe. Doing what we can. Well, doing what Mark just said about sorting out the ship, so we're not destroying the integrity of the ship as we go through. I can't remember what space it is, but yeah, using the spore drive and what it did to the other ship. I don't know what else there is.
So, the list I've currently made... obviously, finding and cultivating the spores is a big one. Building a reaction cube as well in a potentially shielded or secure section of the ship, but probably, since it's going to require a good deal of power, should be done somewhere in engineering. Creation of the spinning subspace field, creation of the cavitation mechanism to try and bleed off the excess resonance, how to create your navigators, and then the actual creation of the navigation system itself.
Okay.
Have I missed anything there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So let's have Gerkow and Dr. Sot find and cultivate the spores.
All right then.
We'll have Happy and Phlesc do the cube.
Righty-ho.
And I don't know what else. It's going to be a load of stuff we need to do.
Yes, yes, yes.
Massive amount. At the moment, they're the first two things I honestly feel like we should concentrate on, and then look at what we can do with the rest of them.
We can deal with that.
If everybody's okay with that.
First things first.
I think it's do it bit by bit before we.
Yeah, one thing at a time. Yeah, good point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alright then, so if Commander Lian Zhang basically calls an adjournment to this meeting then, since it seems now we've got stuff we want to do, so it's time to get with the doing. So let's move everybody back to the bridge.
As I leave, I'm just giving Ensign a version of thumbs up.
And he's like, whew, that's the first major presentation I've had to give since the Academy. Commander Zhang, of course, has to stay on the bridge in order to coordinate everything. Bonnet is probably going to be needed for the, well, both or everything to do with the navigation system. So let's start with what you wanted to start with, which was the spores. Now, the vast majority of all of this is likely going to be accomplished by using extended tasks. If we all remember what those were.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And for the engineering ones, I've got a few tricks.
Yes.
Same here.
Excellent. So, unfortunately, the first two to actually start with any extended task is going to be Gerkow and probably Dr. Sot. So, just to confirm, Uro can't really do anything because his speciality is xenobiology and virology. So, Gerkow's botany is going to come into play here, and Dr. Sot's pure talent is going to come into it here too. Right then, so what we've essentially got is the spores. First you need to try and find whether or not you've got the right ones through all the samples you've got, so it's going to be a case of going through all the samples. Now, extended tasks now work a little bit differently to how they did before. Before now, it was a case of you roll to see if you get the requisite number of successes, and if you do, then you roll challenge dice to see how much work you actually get done. Naturally, we've been rid of challenge dice with the upgrading to Or changing over, I should say, to 2nd edition rules. So, your advancement on the work track as to how much work before this thing is completed is dependent on the discipline rating of the people involved, which for you guys should be maximum. You will reach your first breakthrough when you complete 50% of the work. You will reach your second breakthrough when you have completed 75% of the work, which is a good point. Let me go back to extended tasks. Spoopity-doop-doop-doop. Once you reach one of those breakthrough points, I will give you a choice as to what to do next. So, the first thing I'm going to be looking at then is trying to get through all of the samples you have got. So this is going to be pretty much a... Let's make this reason and science for Gerkow, reason and medicine for Sot. Gerkow has got reason of 9, whereas the Sot has got reason of 11, so it's up to you guys who you think should be lead on this.
Shall I lead in that case? If I've got the...
Okay.
I was thinking, you've got 11, but I was thinking, since I've got a focus.
Yes, there's that.
And I was thinking of using the star cross.
Ooh.
Oh, good point.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The difficulty of this is going to be 3.
Okay.
So to give you an idea as to the level of difficulty you're dealing with here. So one of you rolling 2 dice, one of you rolling 1, and of course we've got no momentum currently in the dice pool. If you want a little bit of extra something to chuckle with, in case you want some, then we can always just have Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang give out some orders to see if she can generate some bonus momentum. Or do you just want to get stuck in?
Ooh. I think that would be fun, but let's get stuck in and see how we come out of it.
Alright then. Excellent. So, whoever's the lead, roll 2 dice. Whoever's assisting, roll just the 1.
So was it with this?
Reason and science for Gerkow, reason and medicine for Sot.
With the Starcross, is that the dedicated focus
That would
as well?
be the dedicated focus, yes.
Is using focus and dedicated focus.
Correct.
Okay, there we are.
Okay, pink dice, nice. And a 3, so 2 successes, you needed 3. So it seems that you don't have any samples. You're going to have to synthesize them yourself. Which means you're going to have to trawl through all of the genetic data that you have currently accrued on all of the samples that you took from the mycelial construct in order to see if you can get to the base progenitor organism and try and assemble its DNA. So... are you sure you don't want some help from Lian Zhang to put some bonus momentum in the pool?
Yes, we are. No, I'm not sure. I would like bonus momentum with the aid of the Ensign.
Please. I don't want homework.
She has a focus on command, so let's do that. Does she have anything she can use for this? Executive officer. Yeah, don't have determination. Don't have momentum to spend. So just perform task with focus. Baboosh. Difficulty 0. So that's 2. 2 in the bank. There you go. So you've now got some momentum to play with if you want to buy some extra dice.
Yeah.
So yes, same again. You're going to have to now start reasoning out through the DNA chains to find the progenitor.
Damn it.
So it's the same rolls again, please.
Okay.
But now you have momentum to decide whether or not you each want to purchase, or one of you wants to purchase an extra dice.
I think if it's okay, we'll purchase one extra dice, and can we swap the leads this time?
Swap the leads. Okay, so we'll go on Sot's higher reason to do the main thrust of the work. We're assisted by Gerkow's knowledge of botany.
Should
Right.
we roll 2 each then? If Connie gets
So,
extra die.
yeah,
Oh,
basically.
you can roll. Oh,
If you're buying an extra dice, then you can roll a second dice.
okay.
Yeah, 2 each. There we are.
That's better. 3, so what have you... Oh,
Yeah,
hello.
Legion of Honor!
Very,
not-
very quick with that there, I like.
Oh,
Alright, so Sot, having knowledge of DNA strands and the like, is able to sort through this a lot better and has a good old view now as to what the progenitor DNA strain might well be, so you found it. That was 4 successes in total, over and above what you needed, so that point of momentum you spent goes back into the momentum pool, so you still have 2. Excuse me. You negated the complication. Okay, that's good. So we're using Dr. Sot's medicine discipline of 5, so you are a third of the way there. Now it comes down to using this DNA strand that you've got to synthesize the organism. So you have to artificially create a mushroom. Not only that, but you've got to artificially create a mushroom in such a way that it's ready to grow very, very rapidly. So you're going to have to do some genetic modification here too. Nobody here has got genetics or genetic modification, do they? Doesn't look like it. So again, this is going to be down to Gerkow's botany, I think. This is still difficulty 3, mind you. This is creation of a life form with trying to make it so that it gestates, or at least matures very rapidly. So once again, it comes down to who wants to lead this and who wants to assist.
I guess I'll lead. I'll try and lead again.
Okay.
You can buy some dice with momentum if you need the extra.
Yeah. Let's see. We just have a look. Okay, so I'll lead. I'll get Dr. Sot to assist.
Certainly.
Is it? What do people think about either buying a dice with momentum or having Dufresne or Inversion just to assist?
Bearing in mind, if you've got more than one assistant, every extra assistant after the first costs a momentum to bring in.
Oh, so it's about the same.
It's the same impact, yeah.
Yeah.
But if
well,
you've got
perhaps.
a focus, it's more... Oh no, it's the same if you've got a focus. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay, it's just the same. So I'll try and lead. I'll roll 3.
Alright, so take a point of momentum from the pool in order to roll 3 dice.
I'm scared. I mean, I'm a professional. I'm not scared.
Well, you know, there's lives hanging on this, so there's at least a life hanging on this, but the success of this venture does hinge on whether or not you're able to successfully create the means by which to get into the Mycelial Realm in the first instance, so... is Dr. Sot rolling all in one dice, or are you buying an extra dice with the last remaining momentum point?
What do you guys think? Should we keep one momentum just in case?
Keep one. Let's see if we can get some more.
Okay, I'll roll the one then.
Right, that's still a success. Nice, nice. And there's 2 more. There's 3 more right there. Woohoo! Alright, so that was 1 over what you needed, so that point of momentum goes back into the pool, and we use Gerkow's science rating to go down the work track by 5. You have now passed the 50% mark, which means your first breakthrough happens. So, you have a choice. Do you want to bring the... That's a good point, actually. Let me reevaluate that, because there was... resistance, so you have actually only done 8, but you have passed the 50% point either way. So there is a point of resistance on this, so rather than doing 5 each time, you've been doing 4. But now that you've reached the 50% mark, you can choose to either reduce the difficulty of the task by 1, take away the resistance, or the next roll gains you 2 extra work that you generate.
What does resistance do? Does that increase the difficulty?
No, it basically takes 1 away from your progress.
Okay.
So each of them have got a rating of 5. So if there was no resistance, the amount of work on the work track they would do would be like 5. Think of it like this task has got hit points or shield points to work through. The amount of damage you do is equal to the strength of your discipline. But of course there's resistance, like a ship's hull would resist damage, so it takes some of that damage you're inflicting on the score away.
And the first option was to...
First option was to lower the difficulty.
I think lowering the difficulty would be better, because we'll get more successes and potentially more momentum. So I just want to check with the crew if they think that's a better idea, because I'm torn between the first 2. I think making it easier is the better option, but I want consensus.
If Bonnie helps and uses reason or control as any part of the extended task, I ignore the resistance of the extended task.
So you would have to spend a momentum to bring Bonnet in on the thing, but as a result of bringing her in, you would be ignoring the resistance.
So then you can just lower. We can just lower the difficulty.
Intense scrutiny.
So, yeah, lower the difficulty. It sounds like.
Okay then, teamwork. So your first breakthrough has happened. We're lowering the difficulty. Now you're bringing Bonnet in on this, so that's going to cost you 1 momentum. But now it's a case of doing something that Bonnet didn't ever reckon she'd do outside of her training in mycology at the academy. You want me to create a mushroom? So for Bonnet, this is going to be reason and medicine, because you are helping create a life form. Needless to say, none of Bonnet's focuses apply. So it's going to be on pure talent, but your talent of intense scrutiny will lower the resistance. In fact, negate it entirely. So, same as before. Reason and science for Gerkow, reason and medicine for Sot, reason and medicine for Bonnet. Who's leading? Never mind.
I think it has to be.
We got 1. I mean, do you want to stay with what you did last time with Gerkow leading because she's got the focus, or do you want to go for Sot's higher reason? Especially now we've lowered the difficulty.
Should we switch it up?
Okay.
Cool.
Are you...
Two then.
Okay.
One success there. 2 successes there. Nice, nice, nice. That's 4 in total. You gnawed it down to 2, so you've already got 2 momentum back. We were using Dr. Sot, and we ignore the resistance. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from his medicine used. You are now 75% of the way through the work, which means your second breakthrough happens, so you can choose, once again, lower the difficulty, have your next roll deal even more progress, maybe even create a trait that represents some extra work you're doing to either make things easier or whatnot beneficial. Since you haven't got much of the work remaining, the ones I can probably recommend are either lowering the difficulty or giving you extra progress. Probably lowering the difficulty.
Yeah, I think it's best to stick with that.
Everyone else in agreement?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so the difficulty is now lowered to 1 for the remainder of whatever work is left. If you still want Bonnet to bring in her resistance negation, then that's still 1 point of momentum, but now that the difficulty is down, your possibility of generating momentum has gone. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. I think it's worth doing.
Oh yeah. We still want Dr. Sot to lead. I mean, I think that worked well for us having Dr. Sot lead.
Alright, so you've generated the... Oh, hello!
Oh!
Nice rolls. Not so nice rolls. It's down to Dr. Sot, but you've got the 1 success you needed either way, so anything else you add is extra.
Woo!
1. So
Nice.
1 goes back in the momentum pool. You've succeeded, and we deal with that. You have completed this task. Okay, so naturally there's a bit of a seesaw thing going on here. So according to what you learnt from Ensign Eversion, the whole notion of the spores being needed to create that bridge between your material universe and the mycelial universe, or those 2 different realms, is the fact that the spores are used as a means, in a similar fashion to string theory, to create a link to its own ancestors all the way back, so that it can link to the network. But you've artificially created this organism, so as a result of that, there's a certain percentage chance that entrance or navigation into the Mycelial Realm is going to be complicated by that. Now, technically, you have negated some of that uncertainty by the fact that you did take so many samples from the mycelial construct, and therefore use them as a means of trying to zero in on the root DNA sequence from which they all originally sprung and mutated from. So you've got that going for you, but because it is an artificially grown and an artificially created plant, well, not a plant, a mushroom, not a fungus if you want to get really technical about it, there is now that certain level of uncertainty in how solid a link it's going to give you. But in the end, you have successfully created a fungus that is ready to start spreading its own spores. So the next thing you're probably going to have to do is find a place to cultivate this and its children in order to produce the necessary amount of spores you're going to need to initiate travel to and from the network. But that is something that either Dr. Sott or Lieutenant Gerkow can do whilst everyone else is doing their thing. Now, this does beg the question, however. There is a hydroponics bay on the Combs because it's an Intrepid class. It's probably the best place for you to set up an impromptu mushroom garden. But it is going to need to be specially protected because you've essentially got a load of interdimensional fungi growing in this area, so who knows what kind of effect that's going to have. But that's a problem for tomorrow's crew, maybe.
Who's the sloppiest officer with the dirtiest room?
Yeah, you want a room full of fungus, right?
Not Phlesc.
Phlesc going, totally not it. Okay, so we've done that with the spores. Now it becomes a matter of time to see whether or not these accelerated growth fungi can produce enough spores. And of course I've also outlined the problem with the quantum bridging, but in order to actually create any kind of quantum bridge whatsoever in the first place, we need to build the reaction cube. Now, actually, now that I think of it, for this, I'm going to bring us to Holmes's engineering deck. Let's see if I can find it. Shuttle bay, main engineering. What happened in main engineering last we were here? Okay, so we got a happy medium going on here. So this is our engineering area. This would be where Ensign Girani and Ensign Kenson, oh look, I've stopped chuckling, find themselves occupied. So the reaction cube is going to need to be somewhere with a good amount of shielding, potentially a good bit of solidity in the structural integrity, but also probably near to the warp core so we can take advantage of its power. So I leave it to our engineers where you want to plonk this thing. Where, sorry?
Right there, I'm clicking. Oh,
Ping it. You want to jam the reaction cube in there. Okay.
I feel either that one or the one opposite. It's right next to the warp core. The room can be shielded. And yeah, there you go. Mark,
is that room big enough? Do we not want to do one of the bigger rooms?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how big this cube's going to be.
Well, it needs to fit at least one person in, and I say it needs to fit a proportional amount of spores in. Pardon me.
Okay, then
so
it's going to have to be this room then.
Can you ping the room you want, please? That one. Okay. Now, it's not going to be that small. The reaction cube is probably going to be twice as large. So let's make it that.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't fit in that one.
Yeah, it won't fit in that one, yeah.
So to achieve a... so it needs to have a link to some secure means of storing the spores so that they're ready to be used and then injected into the reaction cube to create the amount of saturation of mycelial energy necessary. Now then, okay, so according to the schematics, the reaction cube is the only safe place to make contact with the mycelial barrier because of its shielding, but because otherwise touching the barrier will cause creatures to be twisted around the axes of both normal and mycelial realm environments. You will likely require the cube to be built with integrated phase discriminators. in order to alter the cube's quantum resonance so that it can have a resonance sympathetic with the mycelial barrier. In order to do that, you'll probably want to bring in somebody who has got quantum-related focuses. Now I'm bringing us back to Deck 1. There is one supporting character I'm aware of that does have quantum-related focus, and that is quantum mechanics from Ensign Eversion. If there's anybody else, well, speak now or forever hold your supporting character.
Do you guys
I don't.
want Bonnet to help again? But no.
If we're doing engineering tasks, so me and Tavish plus quantum mechanics would be a good amount, because that's only one momentum spend.
Okay, so things to bear in mind. So yes, anyone with quantum mechanics or quantum physics will probably be required to calculate the correct phase displacement. But we'll also need somebody who can calculate the saturation of mycelial spores to achieve the quantum bridging.
I rather, for me, I think a Tavish, a Phlesc, and a Gerkow.
Gerkow has already seen action, so this means that the construction of the reaction cube would have to wait until Gerkow was done with cultivating the spores, so it's up to you.
A version hasn't been used.
Alright, so we'll use a version then.
He does have the assistant talent as well.
Okay. Now, there is going to be, in a funny kind of roundabout way, an interesting reason why the Combs would have built another weapon system, because phase discriminators you don't just get anywhere, but they are often found in phaser banks and phaser weapons. So technically, the Combs' phaser array could be cannibalized for parts to create the phase discriminators necessary to create the reaction cube. Which could then lead on to somebody who's not got a job in engineering deciding that, well, now might be a good time to build the phase polaron cannons. To make sure that we still have got a means to defend ourselves now that our main phaser array is offline. So that kind of all works out in its kind of strange little way. So, creating a reaction cube, we're probably going to need folks to give me reason and engineering in order to build the thing to proper specifications, and as far as eversion goes, it's going to need to be reason and science to do the whole quantum resonation thingamajooby.
So I got the star class, so I could double my focus range.
Now, this is an extremely complicated bit of work you're going to be doing here. The difficulty is going to be 5, and the resistance is going to be 3.
What is bonus momentum? What could that do in this case? Like, if we do succeed, what would bonus momentum give us? Because we can't bank it.
Good point. Let me have a look. Extended tasks. Detailed chapter function by applying the game's stress and injury mechanics and combat mechanics. That is an extended task as an activity where beating the activity means extended task as a pacing total. Blah 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 blah. Let me just find the bit I'm after.
I think this may help us as well, Mark.
So, attempting an extended task, resolve the task as normal against the task's difficulty. If your impact is equal to the department, your impact is equal to the department you use, which may be modified further by talents and other factors. Momentum generated on tasks can be used in all the normal ways, but there is a momentum spend specific to additional tasks, which is to create additional progress. During an extended task, you add 1 to your impact for every 2 momentum spent. So you can... But with Miracle Worker, you may increase your impact by 1 by spending 1 momentum instead of 2.
And then... Also, Phlesk's talent. If we succeed, increase impact by 1.
Wow.
And then,
good lord.
as this is a more of a safety measure, ignore first complication, and we can create an equipment trait when we complete it. So then, once it's done, when we use this thing, we can ignore the first complication.
So this is good. You're bringing in both Phlesc and Tavish's talents to full bear on this particular project, with the proviso that if you can get over the rather high difficulty, then you will be able to do a chuckload of progress. So that's quite a nice little... Yeah.
Yeah, my next idea is I will spend a... Where is it gone? There it is. A star cross. Double my focus range, and if everyone's okay with it, I'll also buy another dice for momentum, so I'm rolling 3 with a double focus range.
I'm also using this as well.
Oh.
Chief Engineer, you reduce the opportunity cost of engineering teams by 1. When you attempt to perform repairs or attempt to push the ship's capabilities, you can spend a momentum to re-roll a d20. There we are. Nice.
Cool. And if needs be, there is determination there, but...
Piling it all on.
Jesus.
It's like you guys were made for this.
Alright. So, I'm
Who's leading?
Going... well, if it's okay, I'll lead with a focus in either... Ooh. What's the task exactly we're doing now?
This is going to be reason and engineering at the very start, at the very least.
Because I've got a focus in warp field dynamics, force field technology, experimental technology.
It's probably going to be experimental tech at this point.
And with the star cross, I will double
your focus range.
And if the team's okay, I will buy an extra dice for momentum, so I'll be rolling 3 dice, hoping to get below a 10.
Alright then, so Tavish is rolling 1, Phlesc is rolling 3. So grab that point of momentum from the pool, please, Merc.
Yep, and then I'm using a dedicated focus.
Yep.
Do I tick using a focus as well, or just...
Just to make sure, yeah. Let's
okay,
make sure. I don't like to presume.
Not using a determination. So let's see how I do. With 3 dice, double focus range.
And, ooh, not bad at all.
Whoa!
On the money. So anything Tavish does is extra. So then, Dave, what have we got? Reason and engineering, please. So, did you roll the dice already? It's not turned up. Oh, there we go. I see it. A 10 is a success. So we got 1 momentum from that. A successful attack. So, remind me then, do any of you ignore resistance to this?
Nope.
But you do gain extra points, don't you?
So I get 1 impact when we succeed.
Yep.
And then what was the other thing that Tavish had, which is...
spend 1 momentum...
To re-roll.
Spend 1 momentum to increase impact by 1.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we can spend...
if you want, I'll spend a momentum for that, if you want.
Okay, so let's see. We've essentially got another path of 15. You have got... your rating is 5 in engineering, but there's a resistance of 3, which means you only do 2. But because of your talent, you actually do 3. So... What more was there? Good God. You can roll a raw d20 if you want, but Starcross doubles your focus range, but your maintenance specialist ignores the first complication, and you increase the impact by 1 for that. You can increase the impact by spending extra momentum. So, Dave, do you want to spend extra momentum? Bearing in mind... Oh, you just did. Never mind. Alright then. Badoop. Alright, so a lot went into that. And you're just under a third of the way up, which means no breakthrough just yet. So we have to do that again, but this time, since that's the scheming and schematics version, this is probably going to be the actual building of the thing now, which is probably going to be your choice of either control and engineering or daring and engineering.
They're all the same for me. So
Yeah.
I'll just keep it with reason engineering.
I'll keep it reason engineering.
And
now, that's a good point. Bonnet was already brought in on the previous... no problem, Connie.
If the resistances are the same, I'm going to use my last Starcross, but as it went well, I've got the Starfleet Medal of Honor to gain 2 bonus momentum to hopefully up that impact, because we spend
by
2
another 1, yeah.
momentum.
Okay, yeah, cool. Oh, actually, it's going to be 2 for you, isn't it? Because you reduce the cost. Or do you? Yeah, yes, it's going to be 2. Good grief. Okay, yeah, cool. Brimey.
But then, not forgetting nick of time. So we get 3 bonus impact if we succeed. And it won't cost us any extra momentum.
So, it now comes down to succeeding.
Alright. Because of the situation, I'm going to use a determination. If I'm still okay to lead. Desperation breeds inspiration. I will make a note of that in a minute. Character notes later.
So remember to roll 1 less die if you're using determination.
Yep. So performing tasks, so I'm only rolling 1. And I'm using determination. Is that alright?
And it was dedicated focus as well, wasn't it?
Yep, dedicated focus. So I've used all my star crosses up on this. I've used 1 Medal of Honor.
The work is not yet done, it's only getting started. Alright.
The question is, do we spend a point of momentum? But I want to check with the team.
What did you want to spend the point of momentum doing? Bringing on somebody else, or...
Oh, because of my
buying a dice
focus range, I'd buy another dice. But we've only got 2 at the moment.
What do you guys think?
Succeed, we power through.
I say go for it. We've got one spare.
Okay.
Okay.
Dave, can we have a daring or engineering, a daring or control and engineering check from Tavish, please? Ooh, not so good.
Alright.
But you do have the ability to re-roll that, don't you, if you spend a momentum?
Mm-hmm. Let's see how I do. Come on.
Yeah, let's see how you do first. Ooh, very good, very good, very good. Ooh, that was close.
4. We've still got...
That's only 4 successes. You needed 5.
We've got Aversion to roll.
We do have Aversion to roll, do we?
spend-
Okay. Connie as be right back, so that means Liz, can you or Chris? Chris had a lot, so let's use Liz. Do you fancy being Ensign Aversion?
Yes.
Now, what's his engineering? It's only 2, but he does have physics.
Okay, what am
and
I rolling?
quantum mechanics. So you're rolling for Ensign Aversion doing...
because you broke up.
Oh, beg pardon. Can Ensign Aversion give me control and engineering with the focus of quantum mechanics, please?
Alright, 1 dice.
1 dice.
Da-da. Da-da-da.
Oof.
I guess we're spending a moment. I don't have anything that can re-roll mine.
We're going to be using Tavish's ability to re-roll then. We're going to have to spend a momentum to do it.
But, yeah.
Who re-roll?
Science or medicine, I'm afraid.
Do I re-roll? Because if I re-roll, does it count towards the bonuses I've got?
Good point.
Does it?
Now, where's Tavish's one?
Are you looking for Chief Engineer?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Oh yeah. You may spend 1 momentum immediately to re-roll a d20. To re-roll one of Phlesc would be to spend a point of determination.
Which I can't do.
So it's going to have to be Tavish re-rolling Tavish's 18. Or is it? Re-roll a dice or re-roll her dice? Hang on a second. Sorry, Connie, what was that?
Vision can re-roll his with the assistant talent.
Unfortunately, if it's science or medicine. It turns out that Tavish's chief engineer talent allows Dave to re-roll any of the dice rolled.
Oh, in which case, I'd do that because it's
May as well roll Phlesk's one. Yeah.
Dedicated focus. Only 1 dice. Come on, go for it.
2 successes, so 1 over.
And we also get the bonus Starfleet Medal of Honor for 2 extra momentum. But that doesn't get banked. That's +2 impact, thanks to Tavish. And then Phlesc gets the bonus impact as well. So that's 3 extra impact.
No, it isn't. No, you would have to spend momentum to use mine.
Yep, I just got us 2 bonus momentum. But I can't bank it. It's where is it? Starfleet Medal of Honor. Plonk that back in. So 2 bonus momentum, but the bonus can't be saved. So you get 1 from my In the Nick of Time, automatically. Then we use yours to spend that 2 bonus momentum to get 2 extra. 3 bonus impact.
Which means that we have crossed the middle point of this creating a reaction cube task, which means we get to choose one of the breakthroughs, which was lower the difficulty or lower the resistance, or increase your progress. Lower the difficulty, yes?
I think so.
Everyone on board with that?
Always.
Alright then, difficulty is now 4. Alright, so you're over halfway down to creating this reaction tube. Cube, not tube. Although, yours is less of a cube, more of a cylinder, so... So, the next is going to be more control and engineering, because now you are creating the, you're adding the phase discriminators. So again, experimental tech can be brought into use as focuses here. Anybody with a really decent engineering score and stuff like that. Anybody who's got anything to do with quantum-related focuses or warp field-related focuses could be used to help here too.
Warp field dynamics, that's my focus, as well as experimental technology. I'm just seeing what else I can do. That's useless. That doesn't help. I have an idea. I don't have any more to double my focus range, so I don't need to lead this. So I can assist.
And negate complications. Cool. So, does Tavish want to get in the lead on this, and does anybody with any quantum or warp field related focuses want to get in on the action?
Well, I don't have any quantum or warp field stuff, so...
Do you have experimental technology?
Does.
Do you have a star cross or anything that doubles your focus range?
Yes.
Oh, you lead.
Who's the leader of the gang? Okay, so let's see. Best ones to be involved in this. Well, there's Ensign Aversion, of course, with his quantum mechanics and physics. Has Gerkow got anything besides the God focus, which we don't need quite yet? No, nobody else with the warp field related stuff. So then it comes down to the warp field dynamics is held by Ensign Carly Kenson. So
I do have warp theory.
You do have warp theory too on Bonnet. So yeah. And you have the ability to ignore resistance on extended tasks, so that would probably be a very smart decision there.
We've got one momentum.
And Tavish is going to be using Starfleet Medal of Honor. Okay, so what was I going to suggest? Warp theory, so that means mostly science. So I would like control and science from those people using things like quantum mechanics, quantum physics, or who are using warp field theory, but Tavish, of course, can use control and engineering to use her experimental tech focus to also help integrate the phase discriminators. So go with who you got. So it's probably going to be Tavish and Bonnet at this rate, unless you want to spend a momentum to add somebody like Aversion into it. Bearing in mind you've only got one momentum in the pool currently.
Yeah, I mean I've got 5 science and 5 engineering, but
good point. Actually, you could
I
do that too.
I could assist instead of one of the supporting characters. Because
yeah,
I've got a higher chance of success.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, because I got 11 control 4 science, so
which is not bad at all.
It's not too bad in science.
Which is nice because of the whole if it ain't broke, I'm gonna fix it anyway kind of mentality. So yeah, it's going to cost you the 1 momentum to add either Bonnet or Phlesc into this as assistants, but nevertheless, you've got higher ratings to choose from. Yes, Dave?
They're not part of the engineering team, are they? So.
Oh no, I was saying that if it was me, Tavish plus Bonnet, that's the 3.
Yes, I'm just saying that I would have brought somebody in for free.
How's that?
Your chief engineer thing.
Ah.
I mean, could we still bring one in?
If you're doing what I think you're doing, then you're essentially lowering the opportunity cost for an engineering team. So what that could do is basically create a trait that I'm going to slap in here.
We also created a trait whenever I've contributed due to maintenance specialist. So whenever it's an engineering task, you create a trait that allows you to ignore the first complication rolled.
Which can be integrated into that. So the engineering team trait could be used to bring the difficulty down again.
Yeah.
Since you're now using your well-trained team, that just means that your engineering teams will be focusing on building this reaction cube rather than anything else like installing the phased polaron beams cannon. But, you know, this is important work, so let's go with that then. So, difficulty 3, control and engineering, or control and science, for those who are working with warp field theory.
I've got experimental technology. So who are we bringing into this? So Tavish is leading.
Bonnet and Phlesc.
Cool. Can't double my focus range. Tavish is the one using dedicated focus. Alright, let's just see how this does.
Alright.
Ah.
Not so good on that one. Liz, how about Bonnet? Okay, we got a success. Success is needed is 3 now, so it's all down to Tavish.
Like using a dedicated focus?
Yes, because you threw in Starfleet Medal of Honor.
Okay.
So using focus and dedicated focus, so check both those boxes.
Okay.
Oh!
On.
So that's 3, which is exactly on what you needed. Ooh. Phew! Means the momentum pool is empty, but you got what you needed. So now it's down to how much progress you make. Once again, it's down to, because you've got Bonnet, now you ignore the resistance, which means that's gone. We use your 5 engineering. And is there any extra added because of all of that?
Yeah, there's 1 from me, because it's an engineering task.
Time,
and then leave Dave put in his Starfleet Medal of Honor.
Yeah.
Miracle
Which
Worker.
means I could bring Miracle Worker into it.
Which is 3 bonus impact with 0 resistance.
So, by bringing in your engineering team and Bonnet, you blaze through the remaining parts of that and actually finish the reaction cube within a ridiculous amount of time. Everybody working together and working together really well, all of a sudden you become this well-coordinated machine where everyone does exactly what they need to bring it all together, and you do. You complete the task. You've now created a fully functioning reaction cube with no downsides.
Do those, for things like my maintenance specialist, for each section of that, do we get a stacking trait for complications, or is it just the 1?
May ignore the first complication. Further, when you create an equipment trait, any character who uses it may ignore the first complication rolled. So, you ignore the first complication rolled in any engineering task, so just the first one.
Okay.
Which means you can then use parent figure on top of that to say, oh, the other one as well. Yeah, forget that. Oh no, that says first complication as well. So they both work in mitigating the first complication. So it's you only ignore the first one, not subsequent ones. All right then. So job done so far is thanks to Dr. Sott and Lieutenant Gerkow. They have created an artificial version of the Prototaxites stellaviatori fungus, which is now growing at an accelerated rate in the hydroponics bay, and as such is now growing very, very quickly. So in the time it's taken for Bonnet to assist with that and then come down to engineering to help with creating the reaction cube, certain fungal plants have now started growing quite tall and have started already reaching the spore release phase. So needless to say, the hydroponics bay is going to need to be secured in case somebody opens the doors and accidentally wafts a bunch of interdimensional spores everywhere. So yes. This does bring to mind a fact that Kenson will make a note, as will Aversion, that there is a problem. Badoop. There is a slight problem with the reaction cube, the way it works, in that certain amount of mycelial energy can saturate systems, and so induction coils in the area can become saturated with mycelial energy, therefore altering the current flowing through EPS conduits. Bonnet to herself in the turbo lift, I am popular today. Well, yes, exactly. You chose the right, you know, she's got exactly the right qualities and the right talents. That helps out immensely. And it certainly seems that Phlesc and Tavish were built for this kind of thing as well. So, we'll make the engineering team disappear for just a moment, because we never know when it might be back. So, with the reaction cube now created and the spores gently cultivating, you now have our means of filling an area on the ship with mycelial spores to create a saturation level of mycelial energy that will create the quantum bridge between the ship and the mycelial realm. Now, of course, you need to create the means by which you can safely translate the ship into the mycelial realm, which means you need to find some way of creating a spinning subspace field. So, ideas. Let's see, spinning subspace field. Now, you do have a slight advantage here that other ships might not, because the Intrepid class, as we have noted before, has got the advantage of having a variable geometry warp field because of its unique design and warp nacelles. So you could technically, I suppose, co-opt the system that alters the geometry of your warp field such that it can instead create, or try and create, this spinning subspace field. Since, as any of the engineering team will tell you, whenever you go to warp, you're essentially, for the briefest of moments, altering your ship's quantum signature in such a way that it aligns itself with another layer of reality where the whole notion of mass doesn't apply, at least not as much, so that the sheer size of a ship does not equate to its weight. So you're already using your warp propulsion systems to modify the quantum signature of your ship to a certain degree. So it's possible that you could use the ship's variable geometry warp field generators, i.e. the nacelles and such, as a means of trying to develop that spinning subspace field. But we are talking a seriously funny bit of modification here. You know, you'd be changing something to operate in a fundamentally different way than it was originally made to. Or there is the possibility of trying to utilize all of that lovely dark matter out there in a new and unique manner, but that will of course require creating the means of storing the dark matter in order to utilize it, or at the very least of creating, maybe with a modification of the Bussard collectors on the nacelles, to draw ambient dark matter into the ship systems in order to then create this or power this piece of machinery that creates your spinning subspace field. I'm only throwing ideas out there.
I like the sound of the dark matter stuff.
Alright.
And using the nacelles to bring them in.
Okay. So obviously there's problems with that, in that dark matter and normal matter interacting with each other doesn't usually go well. So that means modifying the Bussard collectors in that way means that you're probably going to have to create dedicated channels to go from the Bussard collectors into this dark matter device that's going to create this subspace field. So that's going to require a good bit of actual physical work. You're probably going to need to come up with some kind of polymer-based material that can... let's think. How do you usually stop dark matter and normal matter interacting? You usually create an electromagnetic field so that dark matter and normal matter don't touch. So you're going to have to create this long magnetized tube or wire or some such, or at least some kind of conduit. This long magnetized conduit to siphon dark matter safely through the systems into this subspace field generator.
What was the other one?
Modifying the variable geometry warp field to create the spinning subspace field. So essentially you'd be taking away your ship's ability to move at warp in order to then create this subspace field instead. Right you are, Chris. I mean, Dr. Sott's like, well, you don't need me for this.
I don't know. I don't know which one. I mean, perfectly honest, they're both risky as hell. And bringing in the dark matter where we are now, yeah, we can do it at the moment. Yeah. Oh, will we have excess when we go into? Can't remember what it's called now.
The Mycelial Realm.
Yeah.
Technically, if you're storing dark matter in some fashion, then you'll be bringing it with you when you translate into the Mycelial Realm. And back again. And of course, if you're storing dark matter, that means you'll need somewhere safe to store the dark matter. If you want to store it. If you're just using
okay,
ambient
then
energy,
I don't think we should do the dark matter then. I honestly feel like it's going to be so risky if something goes the slightest bit wrong with the ship. We are in massive trouble. So I honestly feel like if it's the first one you suggested.
So take the warp engines offline to create the spinning subspace field using the variable geometry system. Oh, Kidoki. This essentially means anybody with, again, warp field theory, anything to do with propulsion systems and such will be required. So anything to do with warp travel, propulsion systems, engines, warp field theory, warp field dynamics, any of those things. Mm-hmm. If Gerkow wants to get involved, she can help, of course, with her God focus.
That Garrow also has warp engines.
That is a good point. Does Garrow have... Garrow has warp engines. As well as infectious diseases. Blimey, he's a man of many talents.
I heard propulsions.
Bonnet does indeed have propulsion systems and warp theory, so this kind of thing suits Bonnet down to the ground.
I have no problem letting somebody else do this instead of Tavish. And let other people get to do stuff.
Supporting character involved in this would probably be Ensign Kenson. So we can have Bonnet, Kenson can get involved.
Didn't we say Garrow?
Garrow potentially has got a focus for warp engines.
I do have science and control, or engineering and control.
Let's not forget that Lieutenant Commander Lian Zhang also has propulsion systems.
Okay, so this is for propulsion, right?
Yes, essentially.
Alright, so for flight controller, when you attempt an engineering task related to flight or propulsion, you may use con. instead of engineering.
It's almost like I planned that. Yes, absolutely. You can use your con score rather than engineering when tinkering with this kind of stuff, so by all means.
That sounds good.
But are we using Gerkow?
Wow.
Control. He's got 13 if you go control and engineering.
So he's not bad, as an assistant goes. What do you think?
I have a focus. Mine's slightly higher, but
Up to you guys.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have. Let's see who.
For control and engineering, I'd have thought Tavish and.
But Dave says
Connie.
he's all right with giving somebody else a try now, which is very gracious of him.
Oh, okay.
All right. I've got the AI programming stuff coming up, so
Okay.
That is fair. That yeah. Yeah, I guess me and Gerkow can go.
Let's go
Connie,
for it.
since you suggested Gerkow, why don't you be Gerkow?
Yeah.
That way we save the other characters to help.
Yeah.
For the next task.
Good pointy. Okay, so this is for Gerkow. It's going to be control and engineering, which isn't bad. For Bonnet, it's going to be control and con. Utilizing warp engines for Gerkow and any of the related foci for Bonnet. You ignore resistance because of Bonnet's special ability. That's a good point. Gerkow's talents are mostly all to do with security and hitting people, but he does have Starcross. What does Strong Power do again? That's resist being coerced or threatened. Will of the Prophets. Oh, that's if anyone... if you see me spend 3 threat, he gains a point of determination. But he's a supporting character now.
He does have a star cross.
He does have a Starcross though, so if at any point you wanted to up Gerkow's focus range, that would be more than adequate. So, Gerkow can use control and engineering. You've got no momentum, so it's going to be just the two of them taking part. The difficulty is 4, but there's no resistance to this, so it's going to basically be what you've got to see what you can do with.
Alright, I am going to use the value. If it ain't broke, prove it anyways.
Ooh, so remember to roll 1 less dice and check that you're using determination. If it ain't broke, improve it anyway. Well, abso-frickin-lutely.
Can Gerkow spend his determination? Every problem has a solution.
If you really, really want him to. That's going to be weird, because he's going to be rolling out 1 dice and rolling determination, so we'll just ignore the dice that rolls and just count the determination. So yes, if you really, really wanted to make a big impact on the first go...
Should we... Oh, okay.
You
Because
can. I'm not saying do, I'm just saying you can. Absolutely.
He also has 2 legions of honor, so he could spend one of those to get bonus momentum. Oh, never mind.
Wow, how, hey, ho! Okay, so Bonnet is on the job.
Well, save that determination and stuff.
Yeah, definitely say. Don't worry about the determination from Gerkow then. Anything Gerkow earns now is extra.
Okay, do we still want to use the Starcross or
Oh, save it.
save it?
Yeah.
So see how he does. Control and engineering for Gerkow.
Well, it's
When-
against-
Just don't get a
Alright.
20.
It's
What?
It's a
What is the start date?
Star date is 50047.3.
Because Gerkow has 2 legions of honor. If he spends one of them, gain 2 bonus momentum that can't be banged, so that buys 1 impact.
Can do.
Oh yeah, for flight controller, since I succeeded that task, we get a bonus momentum that cannot be banked or saved.
We can't spend 1 though. 1 doesn't. It can
One
be used
doesn't
on that
buy
task.
you an extra effect. No, it's 2 that buys you. But But if you combine that with if you use Garrow's Legion of Honor, it can produce 2 momentum, which can earn you an extra bit of impact. You don't have to, of course. You can go with what you've already earned.
Oh, we're 1 over, aren't we?
You're not 1 over. You have got exactly what you needed to get.
Ah, no, it was if Gerkow rolled it.
Shall we use the Legion of Honor then?
Up to you guys.
I'd say so, because it gives us 1 extra impact.
Yeah.
Alright then. In that case, using that, we're using Bonnet's Con of 4, but it earns 5 thanks to Garrow's Legion of Honor, which means you're already a third of the way through the job. Alright, so you've basically now retooled the variable geometry warp field generators in order to... I say generators, it's more the... I know what I mean. If nobody else does, it's fine, I know what I mean. You've started retooling them now. You're using the programs to not create a warp bubble so much as you're now creating a subspace field that you can use to now. So now that you've altered the program, you now have to see if you can add the required spin to the subspace field that's generated by the warp effect. So it's once again going to be control and either con or engineering. And sadly you didn't earn any extra momentum, so it's going to be down to who you want to perform this action and whether or not you want to bring somebody else in instead of Gerkow or what. Still difficulty 4. So you did very, very well with that first bit. Absolutely, but you still got more work to do.
Should we stick with Gerkow then? With the assist.
Gerkow going once. Gerkow going twice.
Yep,
alright then. Sold. We stick with Gerkow. How about we give Chris a chance to be Gerkow this time?
Oh, yeah. When you use a value or to spend or gain determination, which I used a value to spend a determination for Faith of the Heart, I would have gained a momentum for the bull.
Oh, there we go then. What up? So you have got one in the pool now. Nice! Yes, of course. Faith of the Heart. Sing it, everybody. In fact, no, don't. I do violently dislike that theme. Worst Star Trek theme ever. Eesh. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Before I'm violently sick. So, Chris, if you could give us control and engineering from Gerkow again with a focus on warp engines. 1 dice. Do we want Gerkow to spend his determination this time? We've got 2 successes from Bonnet. We need 2 successes from Gerkow, which could be achieved by spending a point of determination.
We could try. It's his last determination, though, isn't it?
Yes, it's his one and only.
Shall we combine that with a Starcross? Or Legion of Honor?
No, he hasn't used Starcross yet. That's a good point.
Would it do anything, though? Because the Starcross just doubles the focus range, meaning you get the bonus.
Yes, so the bonus would go from 3 to 6, which is no bad thing.
But if you use the determination,
he'll get a guaranteed. He'll get a guaranteed 2 successes, which you'd need to be exactly on what you need to succeed.
Ah,
he's
well,
still assisting, right?
Yeah. If Gerkow's leading, then you can spend both.
Gerkow is not leading because Bonnet has already rolled 2.
I thought he was gonna assist still.
Yep.
Should he just use one of them then?
What the heck?
Yeah, I think.
Shall we?
Alrighty. So roll 1 dice, check that you're using determination. We'll ignore the dice that rolls, we'll just count the determination. So that's actually just 2 successes from Gerkow, which means we get exactly on what we need. So, is Gerkow saving his 2nd Legion of Honor, or is he spending it?
I mean, if we got everything we need, do we need to...
Well, it gives us bonus momentum.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that then. Do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it does actually give you an extra bit of a task. But we have gone over the 50% mark now, which means you can choose to lower the difficulty. Or do something else.
I think.
Lower the
I think lowering the difficulty.
Yes. Definitely for this.
That's our signature move now.
Yes, well it makes sense because you don't need to lower the resistance because you've got Bonnet, so that narrows that consideration down. And you're doing, with the difficulty lowered, you now get the increased chance of actually landing this thing now. So the difficulty is now down to 3. You're 2/3 of the way there. We just need to finish this thing.
Which now, with Gerkow, he can use the Star Cross to double his focus.
If he wants to, now would be the good time to do it, yes.
Sure.
So just the 1 dice from Gerkow and the 2 dice again from Bonnet, or are we switching them around?
I'll do the 1.
Okay.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, look at that! A 16 and a 14, which means we're exactly on again. It was lucky you brought the difficulty down because we're exactly on what you needed. So that means we can't use Gerkow's Legion because he's run out. So it's Bonnet's 4, which means you're very, very close. But as a result, you've passed the 75% mark, which means you can choose another breakthrough to happen, which means you can lower the difficulty down again. So it's now down to 2.
Yes.
To finally finish this thing. So, Connie, how about you be Gerkow this time? Just to give everyone equal share.
Sadly, nothing special except the focus now.
Exactly, you've exhausted all your stuff, but that's good.
Oh.
Okay, no, that's still 1
Okay.
success, which means anything that Bonnet does. 2 successes, you got 1 over what you needed at last. Which means you have completed the creation of the spinning subspace field utilizing the warp engines to do it. Alrighty. Okay, so we've now created the reaction tube. We're cultivating spores as we speak. We've now created the means of generating the spinning subspace field. Unfortunately, that does create cavitation in the ship's superstructure. It's going to make the whole thing vibrate and maybe shake itself apart. So you need to come up with a means of trying to bleed off this additional energy. Now, unfortunately, the option that the 2 Crossfield class ships used to create those spinning sections on their saucer sections is not really available to you because you don't have weeks, if not months, in a shipyard to be able to modify the outer hull of your starship. So you're going to have to come up with some other means of trying to bleed off all the excess kinetic energy. So, open to suggestions for the scientifically minded amongst you.
Can we reinforce the structure at the same time as creating a way to dampen or act like a lightning rod to just disperse it somewhere else? So make it more rigid, but also have some way of
Now, the problem of reinforcing the ship's superstructure comes down to a material thing. So the best way of reinforcing the structure would be probably using the structural integrity fields that your emergency force field systems use. There's Also, well, I was about to suggest maybe using emergency bulkheads to shore up superstructure, but that's then adding more bits for the energy to resonate through. So it's a kind of a... Obviously, if you go with the option of using the structural integrity fields, that requires power.
How does that work if we don't use power anymore?
Because the way of doing it in a materialistic sense would be to park the ship at the nearest shipyard and have all of its girders and its outer hull reinforced with polymers and whatnot, but that will take another weeks, if not months, type of jobby. So it's going to have to be something a bit more bodge job. There is... Go on.
So can we just create a giant battery to store the energy?
Ooh, there's an interesting idea. A giant kinetic battery. It's not a bad idea.
Is that something we can also, with the kinetic battery, can we move that, well, not onto the outside, but be able to move that energy, disperse that energy to the outside of, well, not onto the outside of the ship, but away from the ship as well?
So essentially create this device which would absorb all of the excess kinetic energy and then have a way of projecting it into space, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, sounds reasonable to me. Sounds like it's going to be... What was that, sorry, Mark?
I was going to say, or we turn it into a battery we can easily replicate, and we've created kinetic battery mines. Just dump them out, rather than having to try and shoot it out. But that's...
Now, mines aren't usually a favoured weapon system, defensive weapon system of the United Federation of Planets, unless, of course, you're Benjamin Sisko, but we'll forget that for now.
Okay.
Needs must.
I was going to say, it would mean making more than one massive kinetic battery, and I don't think we've got the time to do that at the moment.
But as a future project...
As a future project, maybe a good idea. You know, Benjamin Sisko was pretty awesome as a captain, so...
So like a kinetic energy capacitor that we then shoot in, not the physical thing, but we just shoot the charge into space.
At the moment, though, I think Connie's idea to make a kinetic battery is a fantastic one, and to put that, you know, take that, bring that energy out of the ship, because we don't want that, you know, getting overloaded and then, you know, making a massive hole in the ship.
So this is interesting. My brain is going towards, you'd probably want that capacitor to sit in the centralmost part of the ship, or at the very least the most structurally central part of the ship, so one of the main parts of its backbone that holds the entire thing together. But also you'd want it in such a place that you would want to be able to easily then shoot any of that dangerously excess energy outside of the ship.
Can I ask?
Of course.
Can we put that battery onto the exterior of the ship? So, because then we can... It isn't making more work for, you know, the rest of the crew. It's, you know, to put in, you know, whatever pipes or wiring or whatever needs to get this kinetic energy away.
It just sits on the hull, and when you want it to, you just flip a switch and it just ejects all of that extra kinetic energy into space. Interesting. I think that's probably better than my idea.
Sorry.
No. I was waiting to see what ideas you guys came up with, and I was just feeding feeding whatever came into my head. So if you've come up with a better idea, then that's, you know, that's top. That's what you want. Yeah, I could go with that. So let's see. That's just basically going to be a big blocky bit of something or other that's attached to the outer hull that is probably going to need to still be centrally placed on the... I'm thinking... I mean, the saucer quote section of the combs is actually really long, isn't it, as an Intrepid?
Yeah.
So it's probably going to sit... Probably going to sit somewhere between where the bridge is and the impulse engines. So somewhere on the top of the saucer section, kind of near the back to middle, somewhere.
That's what I was thinking. You know where it starts to dip down.
Yeah. That sounds reasonable.
Kind of in between that and the bridge. Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Okay. So we're creating a kinetic capacitor. Very cool. Okay. Everybody else on board with this idea?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Kinetic capacitor. We'll have to see what other uses we can create for it later on. But yeah, as an idea, I find that brilliance. Now, due to the time we have remaining, we don't want to start. We don't want to get bogged down with starting and then having to rejoin halfway through. So we will end this episode on that brilliant idea of the kinetic capacitor. And it's one of the few pieces of work still left to go before you can try rescuing Sobek. The other piece of work still left to do is to create the navigation system. And by that we mean daisy-chaining Tavish and Gerkow and Bonnet together into the navigational computer. What could possibly go wrong? Which means Dr. Sott's probably going to have to oversee that. And so we'll have to get to that as well on the next episode too. So, this is interesting. Interesting.
Legion of Honor at the ready.
But for now, yes, lots of cool science stuff going on here with having to create our own displacement activated Spore hub drive. So we will have to join us next week to see how well we come with this. So far, so good. Let's have to wait until next week, however, to see how this resolves. So I'm just going to check, is everybody available for next Sunday, the 13th?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Alrighty. Lisbeth, are you alright with next week?
Mm-hmm.
Excellente. Then the entire crew is ready. We'll carry this on next time. In that case, thank you to everyone who did tune in. A lot of science, a lot of use of extended tasks, a lot of seeing the crew really come into their own with the whole engineering and whatever else, science talents, utilization of all of their requisite talents as a result. That was really fun. I like that. And yeah, everything coming together nicely. The teamwork is indeed making the dream work. So for the moment then, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, if you liked it, as per usual, give it a like because it helps not only us but everybody else doing roleplay game actual plays and anything to do with Star Trek. Register with our Lord and Master, the algorithm. All hail the algorithm. In the meantime, we will ask you to do like the Vulcans do, which in this case might not actually be get lost in the Mycelial Realm, but you never know, whatever floats your boat. But also do actually engage in infinite diversity and infinite combinations. We ask you all to live long and prosper in these crazy, crazy times, and we will see you next week, where we see if we can actually get this ship into the Mycelial Realm, and, hopefully, out again. Hailing frequencies are now closed.